Hello students, Michael Sanchez here, violin teacher. So excited that you've signed up for my 5 free lesson complimentary course. I have some great things in store for you. Even if you've never played the violin before, of any experience, I'm going to go through every little thing that you need to learn how to play the violin correctly, and most of all, have fun with it. So you're actually in my home right now, watching me in this video. This is where I teach private lessons. So I have about 55 students that I teach on a weekly basis. I have all different types of students. I have adult students, I have kids that come to me that are at all different levels of learning the violin. Most of all, what I try to do is really instill passion in students. I'm excited to teach students what I know about the violin and have them go from not knowing anything about playing to being really excited about it and love practicing and love learning. I'm going to talk a little bit about my lessons. So I actually put together a series of 10 lessons that are basically aimed at the pure beginner. If you've never done anything associated with music or the violin, obviously, it's going to be perfect for you. So through the lessons, it's going to be very progressive. It's going to start off at the very beginning of how to hold the violin, and progressively it's going to teach you songs that are really fun to learn. And by the end of this series, you're going to be really confident about playing the violin, and hopefully so confident that you can play for your friends or family. So I'm going to summarize each of the lessons that I have in this series, and hopefully after me talking about them, you'll be interested in signing up. So the very first kind of intro that I put together is just talking about the parts of the violin, all the things as far as the strings, the bow. It's good to be familiar with the instrument, so that's kind of my first introductory lesson, and also give you some encouragement, which is important. In lesson 1, I talk about the fundamentals of the violin. So it's very important to hold the violin correctly, for example, 45 degrees in front of you. It's very important to make sure that you have a shoulder rest installed properly. So I talk about all that in lesson 1. Also in lesson 1, I'm going to talk about how to play with pizzicato. And pizzicato is basically when you're just using your fingers to make music. So, and the reason for that is when you're first starting to learn violin, it's not easy. So it's good to just simplify it and just work on the left hand instead of both. So if you try to do both at the same time, you're going to have trouble. So I've developed this method where we're going to work on the left hand and then the right hand. Lesson 2, we're actually going to get to the open strings and start playing on the D and the A strings, which are the middle 2 strings in the violin. So I'm going to teach you some things like keeping the bow straight. It's really important. Talk about some tools, like the bow right tool. Also, there's a lot of techniques associated with the grip and how we're applying the bow. So for example, like extending out instead of moving the arm back like this is really important when you're first starting out, because that's just the natural way of the arm. But we actually have to extend. In lesson 3, I'm actually going to start talking about finger position. Now, finger position is obviously, us putting our fingers down in certain spots. Now, being that the violin is fretless, it makes it that much more difficult to make a perfect pitch. So it's so important to put your fingers in the right spots. So I'm going to cover where fingers are touching. I'm going to cover how to install stickers on your violin to make sure that you're putting them in the right spots. So there's quite a bit associated with that in that lesson. And you'll actually be able to play Mary Had a Little Lamb after you go through that lesson. So I'm sure you know the song. And we're going to work on things like getting to the tip and just creating a good sound by having good bow pressure. So after that, we're going to be going into the A string, because the last lesson was just on the D string. And once you can play on the A string, you actually will be able to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So you'll be playing that just perfectly. Also in that lesson, I talk about bow rosin, because there are some things associated with that, as well as how tight should I have my bow when I play. So that's a really good lesson to kind of cover those concepts. In lesson 5, I'm going to talk about bow maintenance and also the D major scale. So scales are really important to learn on the violin. To make sure that you're putting fingers in the right spots, a great way to warm up is to play scales. So we're actually going to be learning the first basic scale, the D major scale. we'll definitely be talking about some techniques associated with the scale. In lesson 6, I'm going to be talking about eighth notes. So eighth notes are basically a different rhythm associated with the violin. So these would be quarter notes. These are just one beat notes. Eighth notes would be twice as fast as that. And notice that I'm using half the bow. So there are some techniques associated with eighth notes. And that really opens up your realm of different songs you can play, because you can imagine that just playing a quarter note, you can only play so many songs, right? In lesson 7, I'm going to be talking about bow flexibility. So it's so important to have the correct bow grip, because if you don't, you're going to sound really scratchy. Apologize for that. But if we apply the correct pressure with the bow, it's going to be more flexible, like this, where we're going to be able to get a better sound. In lesson 8, I'm going to be talking about the wrist. So when you play the violin, you definitely want to keep a level wrist, no matter where you're at in the bow stroke. If you keep your wrist straight and you don't bend it, basically what you're doing is you're using too much shoulder, which is incorrect. And that causes that kind of squeak, that kind of rough sound that we don't want. So what you're doing with the wrist is really important while playing the violin. In lesson 9, we're going to be covering the fourth finger. So up to this point, you guys would be playing 1, 2, and 3, index, middle finger, ring finger. In lesson 9, we're going to be actually playing with the pinky. So you've probably never used the pinky before for anything, unless you've played the violin before, obviously. But the fourth finger is really important to know and understand, because it makes songs sound much more beautiful than if you play it with open. So here's an example. If I played Ode to Joy, notice how I crossed over, but it would sound much more beautiful to play with a 4. And it keeps us consistent on the same string. So it's really important to be able to play with a 4. And there's a lot of techniques associated with the fourth finger. For example, the angles of the fingers. So we don't want to play like this, we want to play more like that. And that highly affects if you can reach the 4 or not. In lesson 10, we're going to be actually covering the G string, which is the last lowest string on the violin. So we've been playing so far on D and A. The G is the lowest string. And we have to make sure that our elbow's up high enough to play in the string. And there's also a couple other concepts associated with playing correctly on the G. Finally, in the very end of lesson 1 through 10, I'm actually going to teach you guys a song called Timber Ridge, which I wrote myself. And it covers all of the concepts that you've learned so far in this series. So you're going to be really proud to say that you're able to play Timber Ridge. It's a great song, and it's really fun to play. It's going to take you some practice, it's going to take you some time, but certainly by that point you're going to be so proud of yourself getting through all these lessons. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about superiorviolins.com, which is my website, where I have violins and bows and accessories, everything you need to get started. So maybe you guys already have a violin, maybe you don't. So if you don't, this is going to be really good to listen to. I do have rentals available on violintutorpro.com as well as superiorviolins.com for $20 a month for 3 months. So that's definitely an option for you if you don't have an instrument. And that comes with everything that you need to get started, a case and a bow. Some of you maybe are looking for something a little bit nicer. Certainly I have some other instruments on superiorviolins.com that have really good options as well. But if you're just starting out, it would be totally good to start off with something basic like the rental package. So the rental package that you can get on violintutorpro.com or superiorviolins.com comes with everything that you need to get started. So if you're not sure exactly if you're going to stick with a violin, this is a really good way to go. There's only a 3-month commitment at $20 a month. So basically you're only going to be investing $60 to see if you love or not love the violin. Hopefully you love it. So this particular rental package comes with everything that you need to get started. The violin is set up with a nice bridge, strings already, so when you open it up, you can pick it up and you're ready to play. It comes with a nice bow with horsehair. And then also rosin, which is very important to help put some sticky film on the bow hair to help grab the strings better. So I'll talk about that in the lessons as well, how to use that. The rental package comes with a shoulder rest, which is necessary to help hold the violin. It's something I'll talk about in the lessons. We have some straps as well, which helps you to hold the case on your back. That's really, really nice. And then also here we have stickers, which is something that I can actually put on the violin for you. So if you email me at rivertownviolin.com and say I want the stickers put on, I'll actually put on these stickers exactly where the finger should go. So that's something really helpful that you're not going to get in a lot of other websites that sell instruments. So these are the exact instruments you're going to be getting with the rental package. And remember, you can get higher quality instruments on superiorviolins.com as well. But these ones are really good to just get started to see if you love it. So let me play it for you so you guys can hear exactly how beautiful it sounds, especially for only $60. So here we go. So obviously if you're just starting, you're not going to be able to do that, but that's what the lessons are for. So the rental package comes with everything that you need to get started, but there are also some additional accessories that I'd like to talk about today that you can get on superiorviolins.com. These are all things that are just going to be a little bit of an upgrade to what the rental package can give you. So the first one I want to talk about is the shoulder rest. So the rental package does come with a shoulder rest, but the Kuhn shoulder rests are a little bit better quality. They just fit a little bit more comfortably, and I highly recommend these to a lot of students. Next, if you're looking for a little bit better rosin, jade rosin is a little bit more potent than the rosin that comes with the rental package. Normally I highly recommend these to students, and they're not that expensive. So if you want to get a better quality rosin, this is definitely the way to go. Next, and this actually doesn't really apply to if you end up getting the rental package, because typically they don't need the dampits as much, but dampits are used basically to help humidify a violin. So if you have something that's more expensive, as far as a more expensive instrument, this is really important so that the violin won't crack. So this is an additional accessory that I highly recommend. And very last, if you're just starting to play the violin, you're going to learn from my lessons that you have to keep the bow straight, which is pretty challenging to do. So these particular tools, called the bow rights, are used to keep the bow straight. So what you do is you actually put the bow right in between these metal bars, so you don't have to worry at all about keeping the bow straight. So these are also available at superiorviolins.com. I would say for the average adult, you're probably going to take about 3 to 6 months going through the 10 lessons. So it's highly worth it. The fee is extremely low compared to what I normally charge in my private studio. I normally charge anywhere from $25 to $30 a lesson. That's for a half hour. So you're going to be getting all of my lessons on video, hours and hours of instruction for a really low price. So, and you know, everything that I would be teaching in a private lesson setting, actually here in my house where you're at right now, I'm going to be putting in these videos. So, you know, I really hope that it helps you guys be able to afford the lessons. Please let me know if you have any questions. Hope you guys have a great day.